Hi everyone, so today we're going to talk to you about some simple CV do's and CV don'ts. As they say, CVs are reviewed for a number of seconds by recruiters, so it's very important to have these key things correct in your CV and be mindful of them every time you are submitting it to another employer. So let's start off with some CV don'ts. So we're going to look over here at Fiona Jenkins' CV. First things first, there is a photograph or an image that does not need to be there. So do not add any other images to your CV, especially if it is not for a creative role. Keep it to maybe your photograph and that is it. You want to keep it professional. You don't want to add any additional images, backgrounds, etc. Second thing we can see over here is that Fiona has a not professional email address. So you want to keep your email addresses and all your social media handles that you are attaching to your CV in a professional setting. So whether that's your first name, last name, or whatever you choose, make sure that it is a professional thing that you are putting on your CV in terms of your naming conventions for your social media. Then what we would start off by highlighting is personal details probably don't need to be at the top. So these can be moved to the bottom. And you don't want to put things that could help an employer potentially discriminate against you. The less that you share, the better in terms of all your details on your CV, because these end up being elements of discrimination in the filtering process. So you want to give yourself the best chance possible. So remove any of these unnecessary personal details that are not required. For example, children. There's no CV that asks you whether or not you have children. Don't put it, it's not necessary. Your health condition, not necessary. Marital status, I personally wouldn't put it either. Again, not necessary unless specifically asked for. So be mindful of the additional details that you are putting on your CV and be mindful of where you are placing them on your CV. Move these down to the bottom where it's necessary. Secondly, education. So typically I would choose to put work history above education, but again, there's no set rule for that. Education is looking fine over here. You want to make sure that you're highlighting your grades in each education category, especially if they're good. If they're not necessarily good, you can leave them out unless specifically asked for. Work history. So over here is where it gets, a serious indicator of what your capabilities are, what your key skills are. And if you don't put much over here, you're not really saying much at all. So over here, the job description is retail assistant, and the duties are saying worked part-time in a clothes shop. That doesn't really tell the employer much more than what the job description already says. So in your duties, you want to put things that are more detailed, and you also want to put things that are your key accomplishments in that role. Also, don't be shy to put any additional roles that you've had. It doesn't have to be necessarily work history. It could be leadership roles at university clubs, extracurricular activities that you've led, things like that. So you want to make this as detailed as possible. This is the most important part of your CV. Hobbies and interests. Now, hobbies and interests are a very good thing to put on your CV. The employer wants to know what makes you you and what makes you different from other candidates. So your hobbies and interests definitely show that. However, the way that it's written over here, I enjoy watching TV, playing games on my computer, and going out. These are not really hobbies and interests. I understand that, most of us do this for our spare time. However, it's not something that is advisable to put on a CV. So really think about things that are productive hobbies, interesting interests, things that make you you. So, things like, even if it's playing games in my computer, you can say an interest in gaming, an interest in playing sports, an interest in documentaries and film. So the way that you put it is very important for how it should be on your CV. So moving on to the CV do's. This, on the other hand, is a great CV. Now, first thing to notice is the structure. So you can see over here that it is well structured. There's clear headings. and everything is using the whole space of the paper. So instead of dragging it on for 2 pages, every area of the page is being utilized really well to combine everything in a really logical format. So that's one thing to note, and a very good thing to practice on your CV. Second thing I would say is that there's a mini bio, which this one doesn't have. So mini bios are a great way to put the keywords in that are on the job description. So like I said, make sure you're matching all the keywords of the job description on your CV. And the mini bio is a good place to do that. So put a mini bio. It helps form a little bit of a picture of who you are as a person. Put in a couple of adjective words to describe your key characteristics, any kind of motivation you have for your career or to join that particular organization, and any key skills that you think you have. So that's a really good way of summarizing a little bit about who you are as a professional. We'll also be doing another video on how to write your mini bio at the top of your CV, so make sure that you tune in for that. Another thing to notice on this CV is the handles that Jeremy has put in over here. So you can see that, these are all very professional. The naming convention is very professional. Even if it's a personal email, it's very straightforward and simple. So that's the practice that you want to use. You don't want to use any personal emails that are, jeremy123@mason.com. No, you need to create a new email address that you use for your professional setting, and make sure that it is very clear and easy to read and easy to type when you're putting it on your CV. As there can be mistakes in sending emails to complicated email addresses, as well as it not looking very professional. Another thing to note is that work experience, you can see over here, it's very detailed. So unlike this one where it's just one line about what the person has done, Jeremy really explains all their key responsibilities that were given to him in each role. And he talks about different things in each bullet point. So instead of repeating the same thing, you can see over here that, it's about scheduling that he's done. This one is about designing surveys. He also mentions Typeform, which is a program that he's used, and also talks about teamwork. So these are all key competencies that the job description or the organization looks for that can be mirrored back in each key activity written for the job description. So these are keywords that the organization will look for, whether it's programs or competencies like teamwork, and these can be mirrored back in the job activities on your work experience part of your CV. Again, there's very clear dates, so you can see how long he was in each role, whereas over here it's just written the years. So that makes a difference because employers want to know if there's been big gaps in your employment, what you've been doing during that time. So make sure that you are putting key dates in there as well. It just shows that you've been constantly productive and active. Education is listed below, so you can see over here it's very clearly listed the dates of his education, university, and there's no grade over here, so that's fine too. So like we said earlier, it is really your choice. If you've done particularly well, definitely show it off. If you feel like it's nothing special, you don't have to put it on your CV, so that's totally up to you. General skills and soft skills. Now these are a great thing to showcase on the forefront of your CV. Again, this paints a better picture of who you are as a candidate, and it also gives you an opportunity to match keywords back to the job description. Now guys, remember that is very important, because the more keywords you have that mirror what's on the job description, the more likely it is that the system is going to filter you to the top as the best matching candidate. Obviously, you want to stay true to yourself, so you don't use keywords that are not necessarily reflective of your experience, but try and incorporate ones that you can put as much as possible. So key skills, general skills, soft skills are great things to put. Soft skills are great because it shows the employer that you understand what are the key soft skills required for the role and what you have cultivated yourself, so it shows self-awareness that you have these soft skills and you've developed these soft skills. General skills are great as well. You can put technical skills in there, so programs like Adobe Illustrator, Microsoft Office, and any other programs that you are proficient in, you can put in the skills categories on your CV. Any other organizations you've been a part of, and certificates as well. So if you're using your time, your free time to get certifications online, all the big organizations provide these and they're for free. It's a great thing to do. Definitely make sure you add these on there. It shows that you're proactive. It shows that you've gone above and beyond just your degree. And it also shows that you have the key workplace skills that, main employers are looking for, because that's what usually these certifications will teach. And then finally, we want to highlight the interest section. So you can see over here that the interest section is actually very similar to what is written on the other CV. So video games, but instead of saying I enjoy watching TV and playing video games on my computer, it's written over here in a clear, articulate fashion where it's an interest and you're interested in gaming, for example. Also, for example, in the don't CV, it said going out with my friends. However, over here, it says football. So, you could still be going out with your friends, but you're playing football. So you're actually highlighting the productive thing that you are doing while you're doing this. Instead of just talking about, what you do on a day-to-day, think about what is the actual interest behind it and put that interest in there.